process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is what the Brotherhood uses to describe themselves, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. That's pretty clear as to how they viewed their own objective. And we're talking about the United States here.
Our democracy, our Constitution, our rule of law, our tolerance, that's what they use to exploit their message. That's what they use to protect themselves and to create a facade around them that would allow them to internally operate and seek to achieve their true, often unstated objectives.
At a hotel just off a busy highway in Philadelphia, a secret meeting is called to order in October 1993. Attending are 24 American supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood and leaders of Hamas, a Palestinian Islamic terrorist group. The FBI was watching and listening. In addition to enlisting the news media as defenders of CARE also shaped its message and image by intimidating America's entertainment ambassador, Hollywood.
Hollywood has not been our ally. Hollywood has distorted the facts. Hollywood has shown freedom fighters as terrorists. Hollywood has done the work that Zionists could not done.
CARE was even more successful when pressuring filmmakers to change the villains from Islamic terrorists to neo-Nazis in 2002's Sum of All Fears. The director, Phil Alden Robinson, wrote CARE directly. I hope you will be reassured that I have no intention of promoting negative images of Muslims or Arabs, and I wish you the best in your continuing efforts to combat discrimination.
In the case of all three attempts in the last year, the terrorist attempts, one of which was successful, those individuals have had ties to radical Islam. Do you feel that these individuals might have been incited to take the actions that they did because of radical Islam?
Because of?
Radical Islam.
There are a variety of reasons why people...
But was radical Islam one of them?
There are a variety of reasons why people do these things. Some of them are potentially religious based.
But all I'm asking is if you think among those variety of reasons, radical Islam might have been one of the reasons.
You see, radical Islam, I think those people who espouse a version of Islam that is not...
Are you uncomfortable attributing any of their actions to radical Islam? It sounds like...
No, I don't want to say anything negative about a religion.
I'm not talking about the general religion. Could radical Islam have motivated these individuals to take the steps that they did?
I certainly think that it's possible that people who espouse a radical version of Islam have had an ability to have an impact on people.
Okay. And again, could one of these three individuals have been incited by radical Islam? It's hard to get an answer, yes or no.
The important role that the Muslim Brotherhood plays is by educating young people and creating in their minds the worldview that the West and Israel and so on are threats to Islam. And they have a very effective narrative for socializing and indoctrinating new people. And once they're indoctrinated, it's only a short step from there to using violence to bring that about.
Stop calling them suicide bombers.
The degree of sophistication that it takes to build a bomb or to pull a trigger is remote compared to the sophistication and the effort and the money and the energy that has to go into creating a civilization that would support it. We're not talking about a gun. We're talking about the man holding the gun. How do you build him?
Okay, so I hope that explains the Muslim Brotherhood a little bit. Like I said, they are definitely something to have in the back of our minds and to keep a careful eye on, as I really do believe they're kind of like a sleeping giant, whereas ISIS is radical and really acting on a whim. I think the Muslim Brotherhood are waiting for their right moment. I think they're more strategic with things. Okay, so I said that we're going to talk about Sharia law, and Sharia law, Islamic law, it deals with many topics addressed by secular law, including crime, politics, and economics, as well as personal matters such as sexual intercourse, hygiene, diet, prayer, everyday etiquette, and fasting. Adherence to Islamic law has served as one of the distinguishing characteristics of the Muslim faith historically, and through the centuries, Muslims have devoted much scholarly time and effort on its elaboration. Human interpretations of Sharia can vary between Islamic sects and respective schools of jurisprudence. Yet, in its strictest and most historically coherent definition, Sharia is considered the infallible law of God. So, I think it's really important to state here that the Islamic God, Allah, is not the same God that the Christians follow. The Christians' God, the God of all gods, he has a lot of names that he gives himself, Yahweh being one of them. I am is another term that he refers to himself, Jehovah. There's a lot that we could call God that would be correct. Allah is not a name for God. Therefore, when they were, Muhammad put the Quran together and said that the Quran and the people of the Islam faith were to follow Allah, that is a false God. It is not true. It is not something that we need to be following at all. So I thought it was really important to note that Allah and the Christian God, the Jehovah or the Yahweh God, is not the same God. Now, I will say, and we'll go into a deeper study of Islam versus Christianity at another time, but the Quran, if you ever hear of people saying, well, the Quran speaks of Abraham and, speaks of Moses, well, that's true because they do come from, Moses and Abraham as well. However, Abraham had two sons. He had Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac is the chosen son for God to put his nation under, for the Israelites to come under. Ishmael is the one that Muhammad, and he's the one who founded Islam, but he came from Ishmael. And like I said, we'll go into that at a later date. It can get kind of confusing, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands it's two different people that we're talking about, Allah being a false God and Yahweh being the true God. Okay, so what does Sharia law have to do with Bible prophecy? In the Quran, it says, I am with you, therefore make firm those who believe. I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Therefore strike off their heads and strike off every fingertip of them. And some versions it says to smite above the neck. That's all talking about beheadings. It is pretty crazy to me that people can follow a religion that says that the people are supposed to take in their own hands the judgment of others. In Christianity, God is the one who judges. So how does this verse in the Quran relate to Bible prophecy? Let's go to Revelation 24, chapter 20, verse 4. This prophecy here, it speaks of what is going to be happening during the tribulation. So if you are a believer in God and Jesus, then you should not have to worry about this because you will have been raptured before the tribulation. And this, like I said, this is going to be happening to those that are left. So it says, then I saw thrones and they sat on them and judgment was given to them. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony of Jesus and because of the word of God, and those who had not worshipped the beast or his image and had not received the mark on their foreheads and on their hand, and they came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. So I think it's really interesting that the Quran tells their people to behead others, and the Bible talks about the comfort of being with Jesus and God forever, even if they are beheaded. So you can see that it does go hand in hand. So in Matthew 24, the Olivet Discourse, Jesus warns that in the end days the church will be persecuted. I think you could probably agree now that the church is being persecuted heavily. Maybe not so much here in the West, but look at the Middle East. Let's go back to ISIS beheading Christians. It's pretty horrible what the church has to endure right now. If you're a Christian in a lot of the world, it is not something that is well accepted as it is here in America. And really, even here in America, being a Christian here, it's hard sometimes. People, we may not be beheaded here, but we do get attacked verbally, and people want to question why we believe what we believe. So okay, so let's go into Mohammed Morsi a little bit more. He had his presidency for a very short time.